In a world where strikers and attacking stars
Haaland, he wants another one. He's got another one.
like Haaland, Mbappe, and Yamal dominate football media, defensive midfield might be the most misunderstood position in football. No 30-goal seasons, no endless highlight reels, and usually no glamour. But at almost every great team in football history, you'll find a player in the middle making everything work, protecting the defense, stopping counterattacks, escaping the press. They do it all. Some destroy, some dictate, and some barely have to move at all. In this video, we're looking at 7 players who mastered the positions in completely different ways. 7 players, 7 styles, and the 7 levels of a defensive midfielder. At level 1, we have Patrick Vieira, the warrior. 6'4", powerful, technical, aggressive. But Vieira wasn't simply a defensive midfielder who sat in front of Arsenal's defense. He could win possessions inside his own half, carry the ball through midfield, and suddenly join the attack. After starting his career at Cannes and briefly joining AC Milan, Vieira moved to Arsenal in 1996. Under Arsene Wenger, he became one of the Premier League's most dominant midfielders. His battles with Roy Keane became legendary because Manchester United against Arsenal sometimes felt like Vieira against Keane. But Vieira's greatest achievement came in 2003-2004 season. The Invincibles, 38 Premier League games, 0 defeats, and Vieira was their captain. He eventually left for Juventus and later won titles with Inter Milan. And internationally, Vieira won the 1998 World Cup with France and assisted Emmanuel Petit in the final. 2 years later, France won Euro 2000. 3 Premier Leagues, 4 FA Cups, a World Cup, and a European Championship. Vieira didn't simply control midfield, he conquered it. At level 2, we have Claude Makelele, the specialist. There aren't many footballers so influential that an entire position becomes associated with their name. Makelele did exactly that. The Makelele role. At Real Madrid, he played behind Zidane, Figo, Raul, and Ronaldo. When they attacked, Makelele protected them. When Madrid lost possession, he was already positioned to stop the counterattack. Then Madrid allowed him to leave in 2003. Chelsea brought him to England, and Jose Mourinho built one of the greatest defensive teams in Premier League history. In the 2004-05 season, Chelsea conceded only 15 league goals. Makelele wasn't scoring, he wasn't producing spectacular assists, he wasn't eliminating space, positioning, anticipation, discipline. He understood where danger would happen before it actually happened. Other players on the list might have been more talented, but Makelele helped create the blueprint, give everyone else freedom by sacrificing your own. At level 3, we have André Pirlo, the conductor. Pirlo was probably the strangest player on this list. He wasn't fast, he wasn't physically dominant, and he wasn't chasing players around midfield. Pirlo controlled football with his brain and his right foot. At AC Milan, Carlo Ancelotti moved him deeper, transforming Pirlo into one of football's greatest registas. From in front of the defense, he could completely control a match. 40-yard diagonals, perfect through balls, deadly free kicks. He didn't have to outrun you. He moved the ball faster than you could move. With Milan, Pirlo won 2 Champions League. Then Milan allowed him to leave for Juventus, and instead of declining, he helped Juventus win 4 consecutive Serie A titles. But his defining achievement came in 2006, the World Cup. Pirlo was man of the match in Italy's semi-final victory over Germany. In the final, he assisted Italy's goal and scored in the penalty shootout. Italy became world champions. Pirlo didn't dominate space, he dominated time. At level 4, we have Casemiro, the destroyer. Behind one of the greatest midfield partnerships ever, Toni Kroos, Luka Modric, there was Casemiro. After developing at Sao Paulo and spending time at Porto, Casemiro established himself at Real Madrid. And what followed was historic. Madrid won 3 consecutive Champions Leagues from 2016 through 2018. Casemiro started every final. His job, you may ask, protect Kroos and Modric, stop counterattacks, win second balls, and store danger. But he could also deliver when Madrid needed a goal. 2017 Champions League final, Madrid and Juventus are tied 1-1. Casemiro strikes from distance. Madrid eventually win 4-1. By the time he left Spain, Casemiro had won 5 Champions League titles. Then at Manchester United, he scored in the 2023 League Cup final as United won their first trophy in 6 years. Casemiro didn't avoid chaos. He entered it, and usually, he won. At level 5, we have N'Golo Kante, the engine. There's an old joke. 71% of the earth is covered by water, the rest is covered by N'Golo Kante. And watching him play, it almost felt true. Kante went from Boulogne to Sion, and then to Leicester City in 2015. Leicester were 5,000 to 1 outsiders to win the Premier League. Then Kante arrived. He intercepted everything, pressed everything, recovered everything, and Leicester pulled off one of football's greatest miracles, Premier League champions. Then Kante joined Chelsea and won the league again. Back-to-back titles with different clubs. He was named PFA Players of the Year. Then came 2018. France won the World Cup with Kante at the heart of midfield. But perhaps Kante came in Chelsea's 2021 Champions League run. He dominated Real Madrid in the semi-finals, then dominated Manchester City in the final. Chelsea became European champions, and Kante was man of the match. He later finished 5th in the Ballon d'Or. Kante wasn't protecting one area of the pitch. He was protecting everything. At level 6, we have Sergio Busquets, the master. If you only watch the ball, you might miss Busquets. But if you watch Busquets, you understand the entire game. He wasn't powerful like Vieira. He wasn't fast like Kante. He wasn't aggressive like Casemiro. But he didn't need to be, because Busquets could control a match with positioning and intelligence alone. Pep Guardiola promoted him into Barcelona's first team in 2008. And before long, he was playing at the base of arguably the greatest midfield ever assembled. Busquets, Xavi, Iniesta, and ahead of them, Lionel Messi. Busquets was the player who connected everything. One touch, half turn, perfect positioning. Opponents would sprint toward him, and one body feint later, they were completely out of the play. And his resume speaks for himself. 9 La Liga titles, 3 Champions Leagues, and with Spain, the 2010 World Cup and Euro 2012. For more than a decade, Busquets became the blueprint for the intelligent number 6. He didn't have to chase danger, because he was usually standing where the danger wanted to go. For years, I would have considered this the highest level of defensive midfield. But then, another Spanish midfielder came along. One who could control a match like Busquets, while bringing something completely different, physically. And after what happened at the 2026 World Cup, I think he's finally reached another level. At level 7, we have Rodri, the complete midfielder. If Busquets perfected the traditional number 6, Rodri evolved it. He has the positioning, the passing, the press resistance, the ability to dictate tempo. But at 6'3", he adds power, aerial ability, physical dominance, and something Busquets was rarely known for, goals.
Rodri's on fire! Your defense is terrified! Rodri's on fire!
Rodri developed at Villarreal, spent a season under Diego Simeone at Atletico Madrid, and then joined Pep Guardiola at Manchester City. And under Pep, he became the center of everything. Watch Rodri before receiving the ball. Left shoulder, right shoulder, scan again. Before the pass even reaches him, he already knows where it's going next. But what separates Rodri at level 7 is what he's done when the pressure is at its highest. 2023 Champions League final, Manchester City have never won the competition. 68th minute, the ball falls to Rodri. Goal. City win 1-0. Champions of Europe, and the treble was complete. Then came Euro 2024. Spain became European champions, and Rodri was named player of the tournament. Then he won the Ballon d'Or, something almost unheard of for a defensive midfielder. There was still one major trophy missing, the World Cup. 2026. Spain reaches the final against Argentina. After 120 minutes, Spain wins 1-0. World champions for the second time in their history. And when FIFA announced the best player in the entire tournament, it was Rodri, to everyone's surprise. The World Cup Golden Ball. Now look at the resume. Premier League champion, Champions League champion, treble winner, European champion, Ballon d'Or winner, World Cup champion, and the player of the tournament at both the Euros and the World Cup. That's what separates level 7. Busquets may have been the more elegant, pure number 6. Makelele may have defined the role. Kante had more energy. Casemiro may have been the better destroyer, Pirlo may have been the better pure passer, and Vieira may have been the greatest warrior. But Rodri combines pieces of all of them. He can destroy, he can dictate, he can defend, he can create, and when the biggest games demanded, he can decide them. Busquets perfected the number 6, Rodri completed it. And that's why, after becoming a world champion in 2026, Rodri is level 7. 7 players, 7 completely different interpretations of defensive midfield. Vieira gave you power, Makalele gave you balance, Pirlo gave you control. Casemiro gave you protection, Conte gave you everything, Busquets gave you mastery, and Rodri gave you the complete package. But now I want to hear from you. Has Rodri done enough to become the greatest defensive midfielder of all time? Or does that title still belong to Busquets? Drop your 7 levels in the comments, and if you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.